Dear Twin Flame souls out there, welcome to the Twin Flame Awakening Journey podcast, and today is in episode 83. In today's episode, we are going to dive into the synchronicities that we can't deny while we are on this Twin Flame journey. And another header or capture would be for that: open your heart. The reason of today's podcast, there are three reasons actually. Number one is that recently a twin flame who we've been having calls with and doing channeling and all of that shared a very interesting story with us on a group session, and I asked him to share the story with us, that you understand that you are not crazy, and things that you are receiving and things that you need to follow on this journey, this is something you need to do. And the second reason is that there are so many synchronicities that are happening with you on this journey that you would be thinking, is that real? Or am I making this up? Maybe it was just a coincidence. And I like this word coincidence. We often try to put it like, oh, look at that, what a coincidence. And later when we start looking all of these so-called coincidences, we start to feel that they're not coincidences. Something is happening here. And the third reason would be that as I had the honor to hear so many of the stories, and you have shared your story with me and trusted me with your journey, that now I would like to bring out what I have heard and what are the things that have happened. Because like I said, this podcast is it's your podcast, it's your journey, it's your vision, it's your way of seeing it. My truth is here what I sometimes try to help and try to guide you through, because I know how painful, I know how scary, I know how lonely this journey can be. But at the same time, it is also your journey. None of the twin flame journeys are exactly the same, and that's why I don't believe in a one-way method of healing it. But stay in today and obviously share your synchronicities, things that have happened to you in the comments, to show it to others that weird, so-called weird things are going to happen on this journey, and they are mind-blowing. And I'm going to tell you the story that we have at the end of this podcast is absolutely mind-blowing. And I'm going to also repeat again that channeling is very powerful. And I often see that when I've done the channeling for others, there is always a doubt because you don't connect with your soul. But the moment you connect with your soul, you start seeing how everything that is being channeled through is the truth. Because energy cannot lie. Yes, the words, the action can lie, and we can hold ourselves back. But when we go with the flow, when we are like a river that flows with this energy, we're going to land exactly on this place that your energy needs to meet. Remember, energy attracts everything. Energy is the frequency. So in order for you, if you would like to come to a union with your twin flame, if you would like to get that peace inside of you, then you need to start listening to your soul. You need to start following the journey of your soul. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but actually makes the most sense ever. So let's dive into this. So the first thing is, and like I said, if you have any of these things that have happened to you, any of these synchronicities or something that I didn't list, I believe it's the first part anyhow of this podcast. There's going to be second and third and fourth because there are so many. Leave a comment down below. And also count how many you had that were similar, that happened to you, and put them in the comments just to see that it's not so uncommon and it's not me who is making up these stories. These are happening to all of us who are on this journey, my beautiful soul. So the first one will be that you share a lot, that you both in any kind of lifetime or even in the current lifetime have been in a very similar place or exact same place, just a different timing. So it happened that, let's say, your twin flame visited a museum 6 months ago, and now you happen to visit exact same museum in the same place. But at this time or previously, you had no idea about it, like you didn't know, or it happened to be that you were actually at the exact same place. And it's just like, let's say you visited the church 1 hour earlier and he came 1 hour later, but you have been in the same place and you have something common with the fact of going there and being there. Like you felt that there was something, I went there. And when you met up and you spoke about this, and it was most probably one of the beginning thing that you were talking about, you realize, like, how is it possible that somebody goes there? Because normally I wouldn't go there. It's not a place where people would normally go and visit and do. And so you had like this moment of feeling weird, that how is that possible? Or that is a child you used to spend, let's say, holidays in the exact same spot, but you never met up there. And so this is something. So if you had something similar, feel free to leave the comment. The second thing it would be that, let's say, you have been thinking to name your children in certain ways. So when, let's say, you had more of the talk how your family is going to be or how you're going to name your children, you say very similar names or exact same ones. Or happens that your children have exact same names, or your pets, that you had pets that you named after exact same thing. Or you had someone really, really close to you, let's say a best friend that had the same name, or your grandmother, or something that was really in your heart, that was somebody who was so close to you and happened to carry the name that you both are sharing with. And it's like when you heard about it again, you felt like your twin flame is talking a story of your own life. Like it's been so similar, and a similar feeling and similar situation. You both have, so the third one would be that you both are afraid or have a phobia towards something very particular that is not very common. So it's not like, let's say, you're afraid of snakes or spiders, which can be also like the thing that you are very afraid of, but can be, let's say, you don't feel comfortable to be in a room that has a red color. You feel that it's, say, not the best place to be. Or you both don't like, let's say, when the shoes are very dirty, like to get dirty, that you like to have your shoes very clean and neat, and something like very particular that is most of the time when you meet people, they don't really understand you and they don't really share the same common understanding. But for you, it's like so important somehow that it's like you don't even, from your mind, you would say, I know it's crazy, but at the same time, I feel it's like this. Like, I'm just going to bring in my own example, that I don't like to go to the hospitals or doctors or any kind of thing. I don't feel comfortable there at whatsoever. And it was funny when we were talking with my twin, he had exact same things as, I'm not going to the hospitals. I'm not going to go even close to. There's a bigger story behind it, which I will share one day as well. But right now it's just like, maybe you had something similar, some exact example that doesn't make much sense. And I'm not saying that hospitals somebody likes to go, but for me, it's something I have been in my lifetime in the hospital exactly for a very particular moment of giving birth and getting out of there. But other than this, I try to heal myself. I try to stay away, and I'm not going close to it. The next thing would be that you had a very similar life event that happened at the exact same time. Whether you got married in a very similar time, or you broke up with your girlfriend or a boyfriend at a very similar time and you were heartbroken, or you got really, really sick and you both were with a very similar sickness, and that has left kind of a memory to you. And when you were talking about it or sharing about it, it was it came through, and you were like thinking, oh my God, I never heard a person who had something similar. It just doesn't make much sense. At the same time, it makes a lot of sense. And it's just like it's like a very weird moment where you're realizing that it's impossible that somebody has something similar. At the same time, you feel it is so possible. It's like this fight between, like I always say, mind and a soul, that your mind tells you that's not true. How can this happen? And your soul is like, yeah, because this is what makes you to recognize each other. This is what makes you to understand that you are not just two strangers who met. You're sharing something very strong. So, like I said, it can be exactly that you got married at the same time, you got divorced, or you got really sick, or you moved away from one town to another, you made a big life change or a career change, or you exactly felt like, all right, I don't want to be a lawyer no longer. Now I want to be a singer, and I'm going to be a singer. And he did the exact same thing, and that's how you met up, that you finally decided to take a life in your hand and follow the path that's been given to you. So the fifth one can be that you are going to have, that you have very identical birthmarks. And this is something very significant, I would actually say. It's not very common, but it is there, that you can have very, very similar birthmarks around your body, or in a place where it's not so common, or maybe it is a very particular one. And all your life somehow this birthmark has had a meaning for you. And as we know, there has some kind of I think theory or a meaning or a feeling that when our birthmark, when we have big birthmarks or things like this, that it shows us that somehow we died from there, like the last past life we had a sickness there, or we were killed or something like this. So it's kind of like when you see this, it's another thing that you feel like, oh wow, this is something crazy. So the sixth thing would be that you both are sharing a very similar vision of the life, or you have a similar mission in the life. So you see the world from the very similar angle. And now we can argue here, of course, saying that, yeah, people who have similar visions, people who see the life similarly will meet at the same place. But this is a little bit different in that sense. It's not only about that, let's say, for example, you would like to save the planet. You feel like we need to do something for a planet, and you really work for it. You have some projects, or you have some ideas. But it's more about that all your life you've been carrying a very similar values. Either working with animals, that you like to be close to the animals, and understanding and it's, I know we could say, yeah, of course, when you are working in the same field, you're going to meet one day and you're going to have this connection. So because you're sharing the same understanding and it's the same energy. But what I also want to say is that when you talk to them about the same mission, same values, same understanding, it's like you're feeling that they are talking with your words. It's like you've been saying this all the time. And yes, you have friends from the similar field. Yes, you have similar missions. But at the same time, you feel like they're talking exactly like me. Like your twin is talking exactly like you. It's like you're looking yourself in a mirror. That's why we call that your twin is your best mirror. As they show you of who you are, of course they show your weaknesses, they show your fears, and that comes to the 7th point of ours. That you both are sharing the same fears and same insecurities. And what makes the journey one of the hardest. I'm going to stay here a little longer as well, as one of the things is we have to become very, very honest on this journey within ourselves. None of us are perfect, and we don't have to be perfect. You are exactly as beautiful and as wonderful as you are. But you cannot hide your imperfections. You need to become friends with your imperfections, your insecurities. You have to become friends with them. The more you hide them, the more others notice them. And it's like a hide and seek game all the time you have within yourself. And when Twin Flame enters to your life, they show your fears. They show your insecurities. Often they show you how you are afraid of love, how you are afraid of surrendering into a love. You have been protecting yourself for so long, and you've been thinking that this is love. And now you get to feel the real love. You get to feel the divine love, the divine connection. And it's like all the walls are falling apart. And at the same time, you are still trying to hold your heart and protect it. And that's why our twin flames run, and we run from each other. I know how often when we listen to a twin flame journey, it's like, oh, what the runner is doing, why the runner is running away, and why the runner is not returning back. I'm about to say that we both are runners and we both are chasers. When we have a runner in our life, let's say the twin flame is running, that means you are running from yourself. You are running from your true, authentic self. And I'm going to repeat this one more time because it's a very hard thing to grasp upon. You are running from your true, authentic self, which means you're going in front of the mirror and you see of who you are, but you don't want to accept it. So I would put it like visually that you change your hair color, you change your makeup, you change your clothes, and you think that's who you are. Meanwhile, you need to stand actually completely naked there and see of who you really are and start accepting yourself. Now, please understand that this is what I was telling right now is a symbolism, or in a way of, I'm not saying that you need to go in front of the mirror right now and be naked. What I mean is that you will remove all of the statuses, all of the ego parts of this, in that sense that I am this, I am that, I had a bad life, I had a bad parent, nobody loves me, I always need to take care of myself, why I always like end up in the situations like this, why nobody listens to me. And so you have all of these like so-called makeup or hair or something, which is as a labels. I put them as a labels. And you need to start sitting there and understanding why they're there. We did on a Patreon, I think a couple of weeks ago, a very strong mirror exercise. And I want to say that my mirror exercise is not something you find it online. It's completely different. And I tried to put this up on a Patreon that you could do it as well. And maybe one day it's also going to be on YouTube. I need to fix a few things logistically. But the reason of this is we need to start looking our fears and insecurities. And also, one more thing I'm going to add here, which goes together with the 6 and 7 point go together, is your potential. How wonderful and how great you are. You are afraid of your own greatness. You are afraid of your own power. And that's why you're staying where you are. That's why you're not listening to your soul, because it doesn't make sense to your soul. It takes you out of your comfort zone. I like that quote a lot, and I would like you to remember this today and take this with you today. Good life is keeping you away from the great life. Good life is keeping you away from the great life. And what it means is, when we live in a comfort zone where everything is okay, could be worse, but everything is okay, and we're not going to make a difference. Although I'm going to say that when on a twin flame journey, there is no way of that the life change will not come. That's why today's story at the end of the podcast is we have done three channeling sessions with this man. And there are a lot of information that is coming. And now he was able to show how this is true and happening. So this is why I say that sometimes you need to trust your inner voice. Not sometimes. That was a very wrong thing to say from my side. Always you have to trust. Even if it doesn't make any sense. Let's say you need to move away from your apartment. Let's say you need to go and do something that you've never done before and it doesn't make sense to you. But it will make sense once you arrive there. Listen to the story that I have today because you will understand how everything is connected. The next point with this fear and insecurity and potential. The separation with your twin flame is to help you through that pain that you're feeling to become the highest version. They are planting seeds for you to become who you're supposed to become. That's why you don't have them in 3D, but you have them in 5D. Listen to them, connect with them, follow the path, follow your soul's path. Everything will start making sense to you. But if you don't start making changes, if you sit in the same place doing the same things and blaming your twin flame and blaming others or blaming yourself or feeling the guilt, now it's your wake-up call. And now it's your wake-up call to let go of these energies. They are one of the lowest energies and you don't want to keep them within yourself. You don't want to, I promise you. Because when you let go of these low vibrational energies, you finally feel that you can breathe. You finally feel that you're getting connected. That what your soul is telling you is the truth. And you feel like you can feel love again. So you both are sharing the same fears and insecurities. No point of blaming your twin flame. Use your twin flame as your mirror. Once the mirror exercise is out on Patreon, the links are in bio. You can join the Patreon. It's $5.99 US a month. You can join it. You can see there's a lot of extra content, a lot of extra workshops. This summer I have so many workshops planned already. We have a live meeting again on the portal of 7th of July. So if you are on Patreon, you will receive, and it's always free to join if you are just a Patreon member. Okay. The eighth thing is, eighth synchronicity can be that you have met them and they tell you in the very first meeting or very first connection, they say you something that, I know you. I have met you somewhere. I just know you from somewhere. I cannot tell from where I have met you, but I know you. And it's like you both are looking at each other, or you both are feeling like you feel like a bubble comes around you, that you're looking at each other and you know each other so well. It feels like the information is being transmuted from one to another, that you don't even understand how is it happening to one another. But at the same time, it is happening. And they tell you something really, really odd. And I'm going to say that normally they tell you something really, really odd in a very particular moments. And it come out of the so-called separation, from the 3D separation, that they text you something and saying, you are my soul, or I am you, or I always felt me in you, or I always knew, like something. And I would really like if any of you had any of these experiences to write the comments down below, as they tend to say something that is so, like, that you feel like, oh my God, that's what it is. I know that. So the ninth point would be that you have in your life, and that can be now after you have met each other, or actually at the same time as well. So I'm going to bring it in for two different ways. That you have a very, let's say you see some kind of an animal or a number, and the next moment you hear from them. or something happens in front of you. Let's say somebody tells you a story which mentions your twin flame's name, or mentions something you and your twin flame is really, really holding on to, and it's something very particular for both of you. At the next moment you hear from them, and you'll be like, wow, it's like the 5D message came so much faster than the 3D, which is often, that's the truth. In 3D, we hold ourselves back so many times. And I want to bring in another thing. When I hear this, oh, my twin flame is not telling me this, oh, my twin flame didn't do this to me, or never expresses the feelings, or we had a 1-year anniversary since we met, I haven't heard from my twin flame, or we were supposed to do this and my twin flame didn't respond, and I said let's meet up and he didn't say anything. I'm going to say on 3D we hold ourselves back a lot, with words and with actions. Think of yourself. How many times you've been in a situation where you want to say something nice to someone? You look at them, they're a complete stranger. Let's say they are wearing a beautiful dress, or they have a nice haircut, and you don't know them, and you feel like, okay, I'm going to go and say, and then you hold yourself back. You don't do it. But on Twin Flame journey, you need to express your deepest fears, your deepest feelings, your deepest understandings. And it's very confusing time. It's like on one hand, with your mind, you try to brush this away. And in the meanwhile, your soul is telling, you can't brush this away. Don't do this. Why are you doing this? So if you had any of these synchronicities where you see something, let's say 2 birds are kissing, or you see 2 butterflies, or you see something that is really meaningful for your journey, and the next moment you hear from them, and you'll be like, I always knew we are connected, even though I don't hear from you, let's say every day, something is very much connected. I remember I did once a channeling for one woman, and there were like weird words popping out. I think I've spoken about this in the previous episodes where I spoke about bread, and bread is coming up, and I'm like, I really don't understand what is this bread thing. And once we finished the channeling, she told me the whole story, how the bread has a significant meaning of their connection. Here is why I say that write things down, keep them in your diary, and you will one day see how much connected and how much you were thinking of one another, even though when you don't hear anything from the 3D, trust the intuition, trust the signs, trust. The more you're going to trust, the more reality it's going to be. It's going to happen in 3D, but the universe needs you to trust this first. The 10th synchronicity that you can have is that you have somehow a family connection. So let's say both of your families actually know one another somewhere or somehow, but they never spoke to you about them. Like you never actually met. Let's say the families know each other 40 years, but you and your twin flame have never met. And you've heard when your family is speaking about it, you know them, but you never met up. Or you happen to have friends. You have a very common friendship together, and like you never met. All of this time, let's say you know your childhood friend who's been talking about John for the last 20 years and you never met John. And then one day you meet and you realize, oh my God, what is this thing? Why we are so connected? Or exactly like you sharing the same best friend, but you never met somehow. It's like a weird connection that you've heard from them, you kind of know, but at the same time you don't know. And the 11th one will be that you both have been in the opposite direction. In that sense, let's say you were supposed to be in London for the weekend, but you happened to go to New York instead. Like something happened that you couldn't go to London and you ended up in New York. And then your twin flame happens to be in London while he was supposed to be, let's say, in New York. And you both are in the opposite direction, but you had you both were supposed to be there. It can be even like smaller, that let's say You were supposed to go to this restaurant, but you ended up in a different one. Meanwhile, your twin was supposed to be in this one. It's like you have switched the roles all of a sudden, or you're going in a different direction. Let's say you are taking a bus to Barcelona, and your twin is taking to go to Valencia. But actually, it was the opposite, like you were supposed to go. So just as an example that we happen to go also in the opposite direction, or be on the same, like in a spot where you were just supposed to be, but somehow you are in a spot where he or she is. And it's like, nothing makes sense. I was supposed to be here. That's why I say that we cannot control this journey from the mind. And I've spoken a lot about this surrendering and letting go, because the more you're trying to control this journey from the mind, the more you're going to see that you don't have the power through your mind. Trust, and there is a reason for it. And actually, I bring in a 12 example as well, even though we're supposed to have 11. When you are in a separation and you don't talk to one another, but you have been building up a very good 5D connection, and you somehow know where they are or know what they do exact on this moment, and then the next moment you see either they are on this place that you just knew, you just had that feeling that, oh wow, they're gonna be in, let's say, they're gonna be in Los Angeles Art Museum this weekend, and they're gonna be there, and you have like, and then you see, let's say, Instagram story or Facebook or something, and you're like, I just don't know, but I knew. That's why I say why we need to trust it. Trust. The only way you're gonna master or surrender into this journey is by trusting. We think that when we get to read, when we get to touch, when we get to hear, then it's the reality. Right now, through this twin flame connection, you're learning to read and understand the energy and the universe. So today I'm going to read you the story that was already said on one of my group calls. And you can also always join the group calls. We have now also for the American group, we have a session, sorry, not American, Australian group. So you can always join. You can see the previous ones. The last one was one of my favorite, but you obviously can make your judgment and we meet again. But I'm going to read you the story, and you can always share your story with me. I hope you are going to like it. When I was writing this down, it even made me to realize more synchronicities that I haven't even registered yet. I'm going to say here, always write these things down. Even if they feel absolutely insane, they don't make any sense, write these things down. Once you will start seeing the synchronicities and understanding the puzzle, you will thank me later. It is also very interesting that we both went to the breathwork place. So under the both, he means twin flames, called Open Your Heart. Like, this is the message exactly to us. And I felt when I was there that she had been there as well. In addition, I never mentioned that, but we both had a very strange and odd liking for airports. This was one of the first synchronicities that I had with her. In addition to this particular, the Zurich airport has a particular meaning for us. I had my soul recognition while I was having dinner at the Zurich airport with her. And I have since years the dream of having an office space at the Zurich airport. I hope you like it the way I wrote it down, and enjoy. In November 2023, I was still trying to understand my connection with a woman I met in May 2023. I couldn't forget her, and I was thinking almost every second about her. Through a download, I believe she was my twin flame, and then 2 psychics confirmed this, with one doing so indirectly. Despite all of this, I still went back and forth between thinking I was obsessed with a woman I had only met twice and I experienced the most beautiful date of my life with, and believing she was indeed my twin flame. Then I stumbled upon your podcast and I found this content resonating with me more than anything else I had encountered so far. Thank you so much. I like what is written here because I think most of you who are listening right now can tell they have exact same thing. And I'm going to talk about this in upcoming episodes, but I'm going to say to you this. The more you're going to fight against you being on a twin flame journey, the more painful it's going to be. And this is completely from my own experience. I was fighting against this connection as hard as I could. Well, eventually, I couldn't and it no longer. Okay, let's continue. I sought clarity and reassurance because I struggled to move from the girl who at that time seemed uninterested in me. Reflecting on the synchronicities I had experienced should have made it clear that I had met my other half. Now I understand that our souls put us through experience to make us understand what we're supposed to understand. The few channeling sessions confirmed what I already felt. I needed to go to Lisbon, where she had moved. I had already noticed some synchronicities related to the city and her before, but now I felt like the universe was urging me up to go. So I decided to travel to Lisbon to meet her. My last communication with her had been a mix of hot and cold feelings, leaving me triggered and requiring a month and a retreat to recover. Despite knowing she had met someone else, I felt compelled to go. I want to add here something. When we do the channeling, for example, and we get the message from there, for example, that is coming that, yeah, your twin flame is going to reach out to you, or your twin flame is thinking of you, or your twin flame is going through this, or this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. Then what the next very important thing is that you're going to trust that this is the truth. Because it's going to show you, not the truth, that was the wrong way of saying, this is how it's supposed to be. Because what's going to happen is, the reason you're going to start having this, like myself included, that's why maybe I feel very connected to this story. I had to move away from the same country in that sense that the story is coming from. Nothing made sense to me. And I was closer to my twin. I was really close to, but I had to move away. And the moment I moved away, the moment I made these changes, everything started to make sense to me. But we need to start listening to that voice. We need to follow it. Even though it doesn't make sense to you, like you would think of like, why do I have to go there? Do I go do this? I always say, yes, there is a reason you're hearing it. And for example, let's say your twin flame didn't reach out to you, but actually did, but in a different way, and you missed it. Which means that, let's say, you were let's say supposed to go and meet a friend, and on the last moment you decided no, I'm waiting for my twin, I'm not gonna go and meet a friend. But on exact that moment, if you would have let go of that, I'm waiting, I'm missing, I need, it's gonna happen now, you would have gone out with your friend, and your friend would have said, hey, I heard from Jason that he's going to do this and that, and he's going to come back to our town. That means you would have heard from them. But since you're going into the mind that it has to happen today, tomorrow, and this time, and they're going to call me, like you think of the communication we have only when we call to one another. Please understand that twin flame journey is not black and white. Sorry to interrupt the story a lot, but I bring it in example. I planned to go to Lisbon in May. During my flight from Zurich, I had a strange thought crossed my mind. What if she goes to Mexico while I'm in Lisbon? I wonder if I would follow her there too. I landed in Lisbon on Wednesday. I settled into my Airbnb. I had a strong feeling that she was trying to reach out to me, as if she was saying, "Contact me now. I have been waiting for so long." I resisted, telling myself to settle in first and then reach out when I felt more composed. However, the feeling persisted, so I decided to contact her the next day. I found breathwork session at the place called Open Your Heart. I scheduled for noon. I thought I'd attend the session and then call her, but the feeling wouldn't go away, so I resolved to call her directly after my call at 8 a.m. I was incredibly nervous and decided to do a quick breathing exercise to calm myself. Then I picked up the phone to call her. My heart was pounding like a storm, but as soon as she answered, I felt immediate calm, as if the storm had suddenly stopped. I heard a lot of noise on the call, so I asked her where it was coming from, and she said she was in Zurich at the airport in a transfer, which was the only reason she could answer the phone. She seemed surprised by the timing of my call, and I replied, "Are you kidding me? I'm in Lisbon because I wanted to see you." She told me that she was on her way to Mexico to see a guy she had met, and things were getting serious between them. I mentioned that I had feeling she was heading to the Mexican during my flight to Lisbon. We chat about for 20 minutes without me asking. She explained that although our date was beautiful, it wasn't anything special to her, and she had no feelings for me. She said it happened at a time when she was feeling very, very low. She also shared that she has stopped using dating apps, which caught my attention because I had deleted my dating apps around July, always running into her profile on every dating app I was using. This likely happened around the same time. Once I sensed from reading her profile that she wasn't in a good place, and during our conversation, she confirmed me those feelings. She then told me about her journey of self-discovery through using the Tantra mindset. This process gave her new ideas on how to change her business, which had since grown significantly, and she had hired 3 employees. I expressed how happy I was for her. She asked about my business, and I told her it was improving, but I still needed a lot of money to get it fully on the ground. I also shared that I had been thinking about her a lot since the day we met, and although many things had changed, my feelings for her had not. I explained that I had always wanted to see her, but I needed to handle the things that came up after meeting her first, which was why my attempts to reconnect were half-hearted, and that she will always have a place in my heart. She concluded by saying she felt bad that I had come to Lisbon for her, but saw it as a compliment. I reassured her that she shouldn't feel bad because I had decided to come to Lisbon for myself. I felt incredible afterwards. It was like I was falling in love with myself. And who else does that? Who just flies to Lisbon for the girl that he wants without being apologetic about it? The last time I reached out to her by text, I was freaking out, almost like having an episode of PTSD. But now, I could express my feelings without needing her validation. After our conversation, I texted her to say that she shouldn't worry about me and that I would be fine. This experience erased any lingering doubts about our connection. What are the odds that I would know that she was going to Mexico before she even told me? That I would call her at the exact moment she could answer, and that we'd be in opposite places a year after sharing a dinner at that airport where I felt I recognized my soul in her eyes. And it all happened at the place we both oddly liked, Zurich airport. But there's so much more to come. I used my time in Lisbon to visit a startup I had learned about during my first visit to the city. On a side note, the first time I was in Lisbon, I knew she was also there, and I needed to be there for my business to attend a fair. I was incredibly excited about what the startup was doing. It sparked a profound shift in me. I became determined to find the means to invest in it. This new passion drove me to push my team, which included my co-founder and another member, to be better at completing our tasks, especially fundraising. I spoke with my mentor, who is also an advisor to my business, and he advised me to express my doubts about the current setup and see how the team would react. When I did, my co-founder was hurt and decided to leave the business, leaving me just with one team member. Surprisingly, I felt relieved and believed that this was an opportunity for a significant growth. During my 2 weeks in Lisbon, I enjoyed the sun, the city, the food, and a bit more leisure time that I had before. On the last day, I returned to Open Your Heart for another breathwork session. As I sat down, a guy who had just finished a cold plunge, he struck up a conversation with me. We hit off immediately. He mentioned he was involved in venture capital and impact investing, advising companies on raising capital. I told him about my situation, that my co-founder had left, and that I was in the process of raising a venture capital fund for mental health startups. We exchanged contacts, and I sent him my investment thesis, a 70-page document along with a link to a book a call. He booked a call right away. We had called 2 days after when I was back in Zurich. It turned out that he had extensive experience in investing, had personal interest in mental health, and had read half of my investment thesis. By the time we spoke, he invited me to Impact Investor event in Paris, where I could meet and discuss potential collaborations, and I could make new connections with another impact investors. But the cost was around 300 Swiss francs. I told him I would think about it, but eventually I decided to go for it. I registered for the event, fully aware of the cost. However, for some reasons, I received a coupon code that reduced the cost to zero. Wow. Long story short, I made numerous additional connections, including people living in Lisbon. Always Lisbon. I spent a lot of time with a guy I met in Lisbon, and we became friends. But there was one moment that was truly mind-blowing. By this point, I could no longer deny my connection to her. While having a dinner, my friend from Lisbon, he started talking about longing for a deep relationship. And then I told him, "Do you know that the reason I came to Lisbon was because of the girl?" And he asked me, "Was she from Portugal?" I said, "No, she's from Switzerland, and she moved to Lisbon." And then this guy from Lisbon asked me, "Is she the blonde girl?" And I said, "Yeah." I was surprised, but I said, "Yeah," asking how he knew. And when I showed him a picture of my twin, he confirmed it was her and said that he had met her at the same breathwork place. Open Your Heart, where I had met him, my Lisbon friend. I could not believe it. The only reason I was at the session on that specific day was the breathwork leader had mentioned there will be session on Sunday. Even though I wasn't listed on the website, I was the only one who showed up. That's how I met this guy in Lisbon, who also happened to meet my twin flame at the exact same place where I was going for a breathwork, and where he had even talked to her, spoken to her. I could go on and on, but sum it up. Since the doors have opened and one after another, and new connections have come on my way, the guy from Lisbon won't be a co-founder, but he will join the team. Everything in my business is moving incredibly fast now, The reoccurring theme with her has always been encouragement for me to pursue my business, and that she thinks that I am working on something big. Now I see not only proof that our bond is unbreakable, but also she's continuously helping me to step into my purpose. From that moment, I surrender to whatever comes, fully trusting in our connection. There was even a moment on the day we met back in 2023 when we were in a train to Zurich airport where I shared my dream of having my office space at the airport. She responded with a devoted look and soft voice saying, "I support you." And that's exactly what she's been doing. Of course, I still have my ups and downs, but since then I have feel exactly the way I feel when I met my twin flame first time. Confident, assertive, strong, secure, sensitive, and caring. I have become what I once feared to be. I hope you all enjoyed that story because I really did. I always say that your twin flame is your best life coach. Listen to it. Listen what the voice is telling. If you can't hear that, start calming your mind with a meditation. Come and join my group sessions if you can. You will do the best gift for yourself because the pain will start to dissolve. You will start seeing the synchronicities. So these were today's synchronicities, and I know when I met this guy first, about 6-7 months ago, even more, 8 months ago, there was so much confusion, so much pain, not believing, not trusting, not knowing, and where we have reached today. And I love it. Your twin flame is your best life coach. Remember that and listen to that inner voice. So if you have a story to share, you can share that on, if you don't want to put this in the comments, send me an email, twinflameawakeningjourney.com. If you wish to share and understand what is happening with you and you are still in a lot of pain, a lot of confusion, don't understand what is happening, feel free to book a call with me, twinflameawakeningjourney.com. All of this information is out there. I'm here. I know how lonely this journey can be, but I love hearing this type of stories because then I know that I am not crazy. I am not giving you information that is going to harm you. It's actually going to open the doors for you. So share the stories. Be here. So I'm just going to go over a few things that are coming up. So number 1 is join the Patreon for extra content, for extra information. It's $5.99 a month. I try to keep it as cheap as possible, but we're going to have a next meeting on 7th of July, portal of 77. If 77 is a significant number for you, then this is where you have to join. The second thing is, if you wish to have a call with me, if you would like to understand deeper of your journey, what is happening, what is the energy, what you need to release, feel free to go over twinflameawakeningjourney.com and book a session with me, and we're going to discover the first call. We will discover your journey, we'll do energy activation, and we go from there. And if you wish to have a channeling call, this is available as well. I would just going to say, please book the calls ahead, because sometimes a lot of calls are at the same time, and I know that you would like to have answers very, very quickly, so just try to book them ahead. Third thing is the retreat. I'm just waiting from one person to say if she can join our retreat and give a workshop to open your fears and insecurities. But I've received now also quite a lot of emails. I just want to say, please make sure you're going to send me an email or sign up for the email list in order to join the retreat this November 11/11. It's going to be a 5-day retreat with Kundalini activation, breath work, yoga meditation, sound healing, art class, crisis day where we're going to release the crisis, Reiki. We're going to have fun tarot evening, and connecting with the nature. So it's going to be 5 days long, and so please make sure you're going to be in it. I'm going to release the information as soon as I have received from her the confirmation. And yeah, that's it. I hope you had some synchronicities that happened to you that you want to share, and I'm so happy again that you are here. I want to say a huge thank you for each one of you. I had a little birthday, and happened to be that a person who I met on the last retreat, which was our first retreat, she came over to my house, and she happened to be on my birthday party, which was so beautiful because we are now one family, one connection, one love, and we are oneness. I'm sorry, I think you heard my dog. My dog is sneezing. Maybe some information is coming through my dog. Anyways, thank you for being here. Lots of love, lots of light, and I see you next Sunday.
There's nothing you could do to stop my heart for you. Just keep your head up high. Yeah. Hold your head up high. I know sometimes there are things you don't understand. Broken roads, faded dreams. Been trying to find your way again. I'm seeing your tears. I'm hearing your cries. But know that I'll never leave your side. Even in the change, I won't walk away. I promise I'll stay. Yeah, I promise I'll stay. If you could see what I see, the lonely nights overcome, yeah, you'd be proud, yeah, believe me. You'd be proud. Child, you've already won. Yeah, there's nothing you could do to keep my heart from you. Just keep your head up high. Hold your head up high. I know sometimes there are things you don't understand. Broken roads, faded dreams. Been trying to find your way again. I'm seeing your tears, I'm hearing your cries. But know that I'll never leave your side. Even in the change, I won't walk away. No, I promise I'll stay. Promise I'll stay. Yeah. I'll never leave, you know. I'll never leave, you know that I'll never leave your side. I'll never leave, you know. I'll never leave, you know that I'll never leave your side. No, I'll never leave, you know that I'll never leave, I'll never leave your side. I'll never leave, you know that I'll never leave, you know I'll never leave your side. I know sometimes there are things you don't understand. Broken roads, faded dreams. Been trying to find your way again. I'm seeing your tears, I'm hearing your cries. But know that I'll never leave your side. Even in the change, they might walk away, but I promise I'll stay.